Hello and welcome. My name is TyrionLanstr. Now, for today, I want to talk about the new update that we just got. So, if I go to my mail, go and check it out. Basically, what we found out that's new that's going to be added to the game. So, the first thing is that they've said that they're going to add a new event called the Ultimate Tournament. I gotta say, I don't know a lot about this event. I will definitely do a whole new video once we find out more information about it. I'm not clear whether this is what they were talking about to be replacing the Treasure Seeker event. As you can see, if you go to the Benefits tab, oh, they've taken it down now, actually. I apologize. Okay, it's gone now, just kidding. But for those of you that checked, they had a whole thing where they were basically saying that the Treasure Seeker event was going to go away and was going to be replaced by something new. I didn't think that that was going to be this, but it might be that that's what they're claiming this Ultimate Tournament is going to be. But really, we don't know exactly what it's going to be. But definitely excited to find out. So we have two Awakened Commanders. We have Kevin and Robert. I'll go into both of those awakenings just in a moment. But definitely nice to see that we're getting back into awakenings. It had been a little while since we'd gotten one. I think that they probably correctly evaluated that by introducing the Tier 5 troops and those new the new technology scrolls, there was a lot of new things that they'd introduced, and it was good to take a pause on Awakening for a little bit to let people catch up and spend on whatever else they need to spend on, since they just introduced a lot of new material. There also were some improvements that were made. They're going to change the gameplay of the Siege of Winterfell event. Once we actually get back into that in just about a week or so, then I'll do a video on how the map has been redesigned and what other improvements have been made. But definitely excited about that. I think Siege of Winterfell is a really fun event, very interesting one, and I'm hoping that improving it will make it better for people. So definitely we'll get into that once we find out more. Looks like there were some bug fixes, but other than that, that's it. So real quickly, Siege of Winterfell, in about 10 days, we'll get the new season. Once that starts, for sure, I will talk about what the changes were, but we don't really know a whole lot else. So definitely that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. But for now, let's take a look at these two Awakened Commanders. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Robert. So Robert is a commander that I think it's almost a meme at this point. Robert is pretty darn, frankly, useless. He doesn't have good enough stats that anyone uses him for any reason. His specialization skills, he gives bow defense, literally the most useless thing you could have. I guess if you're a bow castle only, maybe this is interesting, but fortification durability, not interesting. Iron production, I guess if you're an iron farm castle, then maybe you care about Robert, but it's just, that's pretty tough skills. You're not really using him in training ground or anything else. I don't think anyone finds these skills to be helpful. And his awakening. So I would not recommend using your books on him. It's just, again, really not going to be worth it. He's not going to give you much of a buff. Basically, what you're getting from him is more iron production, more iron capacity, the fortification durability, and then a little bit of iron gathering speed. I think if this is an iron farm, if this is an alt of yours that you want to just make as much iron as possible, then I would say go for it. But unless it's that, it's just really not worth it. The level 4, the 4-star reward for basically getting him to level 80, you get this kind of nugget of enemy spear defense reduction of 10%, and then you get iron production and more capacity. I almost expect that the really, really max accounts are going to see that and say, well, guess I got to get Robert max, just because 10% more spear reduction might be the difference between a max account and a max account without Robert, and I guess people want that. So that's a small, tiny little nugget. I do think that it's interesting a lot of these free commanders have attributes like that, where it's just kind of immediately on owned, you get that benefit. I know Sheila's the same way, Soren's the same way. I think that that's a popular thing with them on these level 4 rewards. And I think it's probably a good idea, because realistically, if you're the type of account that's strong enough to actually get these to level 4, you probably don't want them for their combat. So just getting the buff immediately is probably better. But let's talk about probably the more meaningful change, and that is to Kevin. So Kevin, here, actually he's down here, sorry. Kevin just got awoken, and he is another one of those total stats commanders, so if you check him out, he's going to be given total defense, total health, and total attack. I'm going to really quickly just upgrade one of them just so you can see how much the total will be. All right, so as you can see with total defense and total health, it's 1 out of 13. I know that this one's going to be out of 12, so you're getting about like 14 or so percent total attack, not quite 14, but like in that realm. And then you're getting about 16 or so percent total health and total defense in that general realm. So you're getting that in addition to the fact that his specialization, he comes with at gold, he would get 20% training speed, 15% total health, and 15% total attack. When you get the kind of 3-star buff, that gets up to 24%, I believe. So definitely a solid commander. I mean, you're getting about 40% total attack, health, and defense. Or definitely, sorry, 40% total attack and health, and then, whatever, like 16 or so percent total defense. But definitely the meaningful ones, total attack and total health, you're getting the biggest buff on. Although he is a cavalry commander, he doesn't give any cavalry-specific total stats, so that's just an important thing to kind of keep in mind and be aware of. I will say that for my part, I'm probably not going to be awakening him all the way just yet, just because I don't have, as you can see, I don't have enough books for it. I'm kind of one of those players that I'm bad about saving them, so I just kind of spend them as I get them. And there are other commanders that I want to awaken first. I will really quickly talk about what his kind of tier 4 skill is going to be, because I think it's an interesting one. So what will happen at 4 stars with him is he will, when his skill goes off, basically every single time a front row uses the normal attack, and any single front row lineup, so that's basically every second that there's an attack, they'll probably be using an attack. There's a 10% chance for ranged troops, which I believe is just bowmen. I don't think they consider spearmen to be ranged. I think they're still melee. So 10% for bows, 20% for infantry, cavalry, and then probably spears as well, to get a buff in which the allied lineup with the greatest losses gets a protective shield, which reduces 10% of non-skill damage for 2 seconds. So what that means is essentially that, not including the commander attacks, but like just the troops on troops attack. So, your enemy spearmen attacking my cavalry or my infantry, whatever, the amount of damage that would have done gets reduced by 10%, which is actually pretty considerable when you consider the type of losses you can sometimes have. Now, it's also important to note that they said that the damage reduction effect can stack up to 50%. So I'm a little unclear on how it would ever get that high, because if it's 10%, it only lasts for 2 seconds. I just don't think you would ever get it up that high. Like, because it's each allied lineup uses an attack, maybe you could get it multiple in each set. Like, if you get kind of really lucky and it's 20%, maybe you get, of your 5 lineups, maybe 3 of them go off, and so you get 30% reduction in just 1 second. I guess that's a possibility. That would be pretty crazy if it does work that way. I think if that's the case, this might be majorly broken. I don't think it's that, though. I think it just is the one for all 5 rows. Basically, it'll only apply once every time there's an attack. So this is definitely another RNG one, because there's like this 10 to 20% chance. That's inherently going to be a lot of RNG, and kind of like, did you get lucky and have it go off a lot, which is definitely a risk to take, but also means like it could go really, really well. I will say that I don't think this one really synergizes with other lineups as well just yet. I don't know how they would incorporate it with some of the other ones. I think it would have been interesting if they'd made this a heal type of ability to synergize well with the whole Jamie and Peter Baelish lineups. The fact that it's just a damage reduction is not the same, and it doesn't really synergize, like I said, with anything. It could very well be that when they awaken the next tier 5 commander, maybe there's going to be some synergize with Kevin and with some form of damage reduction. When you get damage reduction, it reflects it back on the opponent. I don't know, whatever it might be. So definitely an interesting one. I think that on the whole, Kevin is good, but I actually don't think that he is quite as strong as people expected him to be. Like, just in comparing him to some other like similar tier commanders. Like, let's take a look at Seg for a second. So Seg, here, so let me scroll to the top. Okay. So Seg, the reason why I'm comparing him to Seg is that Seg is also a paid commander, also gives total attack and total defense instead of health, and also gives training speed. So to me, they're very similar in terms of that. One's health, one's defense, but other than that, identical. Now, his Awakening, his hidden ability, he got 19% total attack and then 19% total defense. He got a lot less health, right? Like, I think that basically Kevin is a more balanced version of that. But I think most people would agree you're better off getting more total attack than getting a little more balanced and getting more health. So I think that makes Seg, in my mind, a little bit stronger and get a little bit of an edge. I will fully admit that I think that this Vanguard's Intimidation is considerably worse than Kevin's final ability. I think Kevin's final ability is definitely better. That 10% reduction on the off chance the whole battle is better than a 13% boost for the first 10 seconds. I think that's pretty unquestioned. Annie, which is a higher paid commander, for sure is better. Just in terms of she's getting total attack and defense, but then her skills, like she's getting, so she's getting 21% total attack and 22% total defense. So that definitely she is stronger. I think that another good one to maybe compare him to would be someone like a Jamie. If we look at Jamie, Jamie gets total attack and then he's doing the spear health and defense, and Jamie's very similar to either Layla or Sinara. For sure, like they're kind of the parallels within spears, cav, and infantry. But if you're looking at how much he's getting, he's on track to get a pretty similar amount of total attack. So just kind of some general ballparks of where Kevin is kind of lining up. He is a pretty unique one. Like I said, I think the best comparison is Seg. And, Seg's a very strong commander. So I think Kevin is good. Definitely an interesting one. I think I'm really intrigued for what's going to happen when they awaken Sinara. Sinara, to me, is the next really interesting commander to awaken, just because Jamie and Layla were the first two that really had big synergies with their lineups. So I'm intrigued for Sinara. I think Kevin was a interesting one. Definitely a fun one to unlock. Getting us close to having all of the paid commanders awoken. At this point, all we have left is, I wouldn't consider Simon paid, but Patello, Rhea, Marjorie, and Sinara, which is kind of crazy to think that that's all that we have left. But as you can see, all the rest of them, and sorry, I should add, of course, still like Daenerys and... you still have Daenerys and Sandor that have not been awoken yet either. But with that exception, I mean, we're getting pretty close to having all of our commanders awoken, and I think once that's done, it's really going to be okay. On to the next major addition to the game. Like, what are we going to get next? So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was interesting for you guys. Best of luck with Awakening. Definitely go for Kevin if you can. Don't forget to use this wheel if you haven't already. This Awakening turntable, you can get it, ways to get Kevin really quickly. And then don't forget to cash in on these. It's a way to get free medals. They've actually made this even better than it used to be. You get 10 for unlocking the 0 hidden abilities, 15 for getting tier 1, and then 25 for activating all the tier 2 abilities. I will safely say that I wish I'd saved up more of my books of wisdom so that I could actually do that. Unfortunately, I have not done that, so I will not be able to get a whole lot of extra Kevins. But I did get up to the rare quality, so I got 15 bonus ones. But yeah, good luck to all of you for going for the gold and going for tier 4. It's definitely if you're gonna do it, this is the best time to do it. So until next time, my name is TyrionLanstr. I'll see you then.